Hey guys, welcome to Let's Play Alien Soldier for the Sega Mega Drive. This is a 2D side-scrolling action-type game along the lines of Gunstar Heroes, which makes sense since it's made by the same people. Now I know a lot of you guys had a hard time understanding the storyline, which understandably so, that it's very confusing, but for a game from the Genesis era, it shouldn't matter that much. But basically, if you're interested, we play as Epsilon-Eagle, and he is the former leader of a terrorist group called Scarlet. And somehow time-space continuum got involved, and we inhabited a boy's body, and we're not the leader of this terrorist group anymore. It is now run by a guy named Z-Tiger, and he wants us dead for whatever reason, and we're not evil anymore. And to justify all that nonsense, it's on planet Sierra and not Earth. But again, it shouldn't matter that much. There's barely any mention of the story as you play it. So anyway, I am setting the difficulty to super easy because on both modes you get one life, but on super hard you get no continues. And I'm not going to risk getting to the end of the game, dying, and then having to start all over again. There's some other slight differences, but for the most part they both kind of play exactly the same. But anyway, before I waste any more time, we have 6 weapons we can choose from. We can only carry 4, but we can carry as many of one type as we can, as long as, within the 4 slots. I'm taking 2 homing force and 2 lancer force, and I'll explain those later. Change my status to numeric, exit, and here's a list of our moves. Standard jumping and shooting controls. We can scroll through our weapons by pressing A. Zero teleport lets us dash back and forth without taking damage. There's a fire version of that, which you just saw, which consumes health. We can also hover, and by double tapping B, we can use what's called counter force, which turns enemy bullets, or whatever it is some of them shoot out, into energy or health that we can pick up. And it's very helpful. You're going to need to use that and the zero teleport quite a bit throughout the game. Let's see, we're just taking on some generic enemies here, but you'll notice the stages are very, very short. This game is comprised mostly of just boss fights. And we're about to our first one right now. Oh, and I guess I forgot to mention, you can walk on the ceiling, which is pretty cool. Which I think is the best way to beat this first boss, which is a robotic tapeworm. Now, the reason I chose these 2 weapons from the start, they're probably the best 2 weapons in the game. Homing force, obviously, it's a fire-based attack which zooms in on the enemy's weak spot. It does have a limited range, but it's still very good, has plenty of ammo. And the Lancer Force is a laser-type weapon, which consumes a lot of ammo, but is very powerful and works best against robotic-type enemies. But due to the nature of this boss, it's probably better to use your homing force. Only because he's so erratic. He's all over the place, and you only get 1,000 ammo points, I guess you could say, at the beginning. And the Lancer Force consumes about 120-ish per shot. So it's best to conserve it for when you absolutely need it. Alright, we're done with that stage, and now we're moving on. We're still in the same area. And that's another thing about this game. And a lot of games, from this time, oh wait, let me grab that first. That yellow orb refills our health and gives us a health boost. Very valuable. Invaluable to gameplay. Super hard mode, there's far fewer of those things. But anyway, in most games from this genre, way back then, you'd go through a whole stage, fight a single boss, and then move on to an entirely new area. In this game, it doesn't work that way. You just go from one fight to the next. It's almost like a huge gauntlet. You keep whatever health you had when you beat a boss, when you beat a level. All your ammo stays the same, although weapons do refill when they're not being used. and it definitely adds a whole load of challenge to the game. Whole load? Don't know what I meant by that, but it becomes much more difficult later on when you're going from there aren't even any stages anymore. It just goes boss fight to boss fight, and I'm doing really bad here. And this fight isn't even that hard. Oh well, there we go. But yeah, it'll come to a point where you won't be able to leech health from enemies anymore. You're just gonna have to fight boss after boss, and it really does get hard. I do fairly okay on super hard mode, but not enough that I do my whole let's play around it. Now that thing I'm shooting there, this refills our ammo, and depending on which weapon we have, suppose I just picked up another homing force, so it not only refilled the homing force back to full, but it also increased the capacity, and all the weapons max out at 2,000. Now, if that thing scrolls through the different weapons, and if I were to pick up a different one from the one I was using, it would replace my current weapon with whatever it was displaying, which is not a good thing if you don't want something else. You really have to watch it. But if you shoot it with your current weapon, it will change to whatever your current weapon is for a brief period of time. Oh, and I used my fire version of the Zero Teleport. Again, I try not to use it, but I think it automatically is used when you're at full health. And I really don't want to waste health like that. You'll find every single point of your life that you have is valuable. And this boss has his own theme music, and I think he's supposed to be harder than the other ones we already fought, but if any of them were harder, it was definitely the tapeworm boss, which, wow, so he's dead already. On super hard mode, when you fight the tapeworm thing, you barely have enough time to beat that. And you do have a time limit, as you can see up in the upper right-hand corner there, underneath my weapons. Gotta shoot this eyeball thing. Lasers don't seem to work on it. Oh, and speaking of lasers, I just picked up a bad weapon. Which means, well, it's not a bad weapon, it's just one I didn't want. I'll switch to my other homing force. That's the good thing about bringing a second one. You have a backup in case something goes wrong. I'll be sure to pick up a regular one later. Back to my other homing. It's gonna become a problem, I think, but who knows? I might be fine. Now this boss is just nasty. He's got that big nose and a phallic type weapon there. Turn some of his attacks into health. The bombs that fall from the ceiling and the rocks that he throws out, I can actually bounce those back with the counter force. I can't turn those into health. And the Lancer really drains this guy's health very quickly. And he's already dead. We're doing very well now. I'm sorry if the whole explanation of how this game works was boring. I really wanted to get that part out of the way as soon as possible so I could just focus on the fun gameplay. And as I said, this was for the Mega Drive only. It was not released in the US, although I guess it's on the Virtual Console on the Wii now. Oh, here we go. I want that. Oh, I don't want it when it's like that. I'll just wait for it to scroll back. See it? Oh, there we go. And, oh no, it's still at 2,000. Alright, we're good. And I guess we have enough time for one more boss before we call it a video. And then I'm going back to playing Xenosaga. Oh boy. Some ugly crab thing. Most of the bosses, even though we're on another planet, most of the bosses are just giant mutant versions of, or robotic versions of Earth animals, like, or parasites, I guess. I don't even know what that one of those bosses was, but the samurai thing was a turtle, I think, crab, tapeworm, and a giant ant on 2 legs. Oh. Now you can, this guy will drop out these bombs out of its, I guess its mouth. If you shoot them, they'll turn into health. And his little crabs will do this. They'll grab you and spin you around. And if the crab comes along, he'll try and slash you while you're being held captive. Ah, get out of here. Not hard, just kind of tedious. And the zero teleport, you won't beat this game if you don't use it. You'll die very early. It's the best part. It's very helpful because you don't take any damage when you use it. And I know I said that, but I can't stress enough how useful it is. Yeah, get out of here. Oh. Luckily, the bombs don't really hurt you unless they explode next, when they're within your range. And that crab is fried. And I guess it was made out of dynamite or something, because it just blew up for no reason. So next time, guys, more Let's Play Alien Storm. This game is going to get really hard very soon, or somewhat soon. Might have to use save states. I'll try not to as much as I can. I can get pretty far without... Norton, get out of here. Anyway. Next time, guys, more Let's Play this game. Later.